Hi friends, it's Sarah from Ruffles and Rain Boots. Today I'm going to introduce you to batch processing. It's a free algorithm you have to use inside of xTool Studio. If you're new here and want to work along, you'll get a free file, but also you may want to go to the YouTube settings, go to the cog and playback speed. Anything above the word normal will slow this down. This is the free file I'm using. I'll put the link down below. All I did was I put it into xTool Studio and removed all of the extra stuff around the words using the vector edit menu. To be very clear, we're using the lasering on a flat surface mode. If you scroll down on that page, you'll see two more batch processing. That is to process multiple runs of either the same design or different design. That video will come later. I'm putting these 3 beechwood keychains on my bed, and you may think, why not use grid array, right? When you have something like this, you cannot use grid array. This batch processing is the easier way to do it. Okay, I promise it may not seem like it, but this is a really good one to learn, especially for Christmas ornaments. So when you close the lid of the xTool M2, it will take a picture. Now, all of the messages I've had will start right here. People go to here and expect the wizard to pop up, but you'll see those 2 buttons at the bottom are grayed out. You need a design. Tip number 1, put a design on your canvas. Tip number 2, make sure you're lasering on a flat surface and skip down to thickness. Tip number 3 is that all of the items need to be the same thickness or very close. If you have differing thicknesses, you need to set those aside for a different run. So what will happen when you hit that measure button is the laser will tap down onto the actual material on the target in the location you selected. Now from here, you have to have your design selected. You see the transform controls. Now you can go to batch fill under efficiency tools and you see the 2 black buttons are available. Now before we get into that, I want you to scooch up to the top of the pop out. You see it says network required. If you toggle this, it doesn't require to be online. That is for when you are at a show. This will still work. Okay, so from here you have 2 options, fill or frame, but both of them need to start with a close shot view. The close shot is right to the right of the camera. So instead of a global view, we're going to use this exact sample. So we have our design and we have a piece of material. And now we can select frame or fill. Fill is what most people will be using. You're going to have the same design on the same item, just multiples of it. So what the system will do is it will stitch together everywhere it finds an item. Now mine are just in a row, but I'll show you later what happens when they're not. So then after the picture is complete, it will recognize material and duplicate the number of designs. Yeah, and I know 2 of these, they came in upside down. That is not always what happens, but if it does, highlight them and just adjust the angle, or you can swirl them around manually if you want. Now another reason we don't use grid array is because nothing is locked in. These are all independent thickness or widths, right? So I can just make sure the ratio is unlocked and make mini adjustments, moving each of these wherever I want them, changing the angles, the sizing, etc. I can do that for all of the pieces anywhere on the board. Now you can see we're still in the close view, but over here on the right, you can see that's my original design. It will be a separate parameter from the other ones. So let's go and talk material settings. For most everything we have loaded in here, if you select anything, let's say we select pine wood, there's settings, we select apply and it will auto load power, speed, passes, and even lines per centimeter. You can adjust with the sliders or you can manually enter them. Now mine is beech, so I'm going to find beechwood. I'm just going to pop that in. Now here is the default. When we apply, we go from 60 for the pine down to 30 for the beechwood, and you can see it auto-populated. However, if you have a material test here, you can also just click on each of these and choose your own adventure by picture. You can also type them, like I just changed the LPC to 100, I just changed the power to 37. I ended up at 4140 and LPC of 100. That made me happy. I can copy and paste the settings onto each of these so I have one set of parameters. Just cleans up the file. Now, if you're going to make any adjustments, We're already in a close view because we have stitched material or stitched the images together. But let's say you fat fingered something, or let's say you just really need to make sure. You can see these are beveled edges. I have to be inside of the flat part, right? So the M2 makes it kind of difficult sometimes because the lights are so bright. If you're a beginner, maybe add some tape when you're working with beveled edges, because it can be quite difficult to see where this ends, right? I know that my period on that is going to be right on the beveled edge. I'm fine with it, but just FYI, you have to really get in here and look, but only use the close view. So I'm going to go ahead and hit process. Now, the one other thing I will say about this is that estimate comes in at 7.5. It ends up taking almost 10. In the batch processing, you still follow the same thing where you hit start in the software, it sends the file, and you hit start on the machine. And you can even watch it using the enable the monitoring option down here at the left. But the estimates are a little off. So 7.5 turned into 9 and 45 seconds. So I'm going to show you what they are right in the bed of the laser. There you go. Came out pretty decently, all on the flat part, except that period. I told you, didn't I tell you? Okay, so I'm just going to flip them over, and now we're going to do the framing method. Again, my system will take a picture. I'm going to put a design right here. All of this is going to have the output turned off, and everything else I'm just going to enter 40, 140, 1, and 100. Now I'm going to click on my design. You'll see batch fill is up here now and recently used, but batch fill again, and we're going to hit this frame out material, but we still have the same starting point, so we have to do a close view of the material sample we want to use. So regardless if they're 1 or 1,000 on the bed, we still need a close-up view. Now I'm going to select frame out, and almost everything is the same except you have one more step. This is so you can add a constraint. So you can change this bounding box using the zoom to scroll in, and then you just use these transform controls. They're freeform. I would love to see xTool put an actual sizing parameter where we can just type in millimeters or something here, but until then, we're just going to view it like this. And then once you have your size, you're going to hit fill. Now you have a familiar screen pop up, right? And again, I'm only going to have 3 images. However, I'll show you a screenshot of another project I've done with batch. I had 12 images. It just depends on what is on the bed of the laser. And then the next part is also very similar. It's just going to duplicate the designs once it recognizes all of the material. This one, only one of them is upside down, so we'll go ahead and click that and change the angle back to 0. Now, remember, you're in a close view, so if you want to make any adjustments, micro or not, you can do so here. All right, I'm going to close that. Now, to get out of this, you just right-click, delete close view. And here, I'm going to copy by right-clicking, copy settings, paste settings to get one set of settings. Now, I mentioned maybe 52 times by now, always adjust via the close view. So you can see this is in the center, right? Again, we have the beveled edges, but this is in the center. When I right-click, watch what it looks like. It looks like everything shifted left, and the far right looks like everything shifted right, but they're not because we did it with a close view. Again, we're just going to hit start. 5.5 or 550 turns into 10 minutes for this one. As a reminder, always save and name your files. Even if you write your settings down, it's always a good practice to get into. Now, the very first one is a little light for me, so I'll just move the other 2 and turn those off in the design file, and then just rerun that first one to see if I can get it darker. After doing so, here's the first one. It's still a little lighter than the rest, and that's the nature of the wood, but I'll show you how they came out at the end. As a reminder, here's a free file. Now, I would love to hear from you. Is batch processing something that you will use? There is still the ability to add QR codes, a whole bunch of different names all in one file. There's so much more this can do. But as for now, I'd love to let me know if this was helpful in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching. Please like the video and subscribe for more.